What's going on, everybody, and welcome to a brand new video. In today's video, I want to essentially talk about why I ultimately decided to quit doing Turo. Now, Turo is a side hustle that I've introduced to this channel, and I've made a few videos on it, and surprisingly, one of them did really well. I'm going to link the playlist above in case you want to see more about why I decided to try Turo and what it took to kind of start. But in today's video, I'm going to give you 5 of the main reasons that led me to quitting this Turo business. Now, I really want to make this video so that you can take some of the cons that I experienced and use them to better assess if Turo is going to be right for you or not. And I do want to add that Turo largely depends on your location and the type of cars that you have available to rent out. So with that being said, everybody is going to experience different results depending on where they're at and what they have. So my best advice to you is if you're interested in starting Turo, just give it a try. Try it, post your car, and attempt to do it to see if it's going to work out or not. If you don't give it a try, you're always going to have starting a Turo business on your mind or in the back of your head somewhere, and you're not going to really feel fulfilled until you fully give it a shot. That's exactly what I did, and now I am here to kind of report back and let you guys know why I ultimately decided to dispose of the Turo business. So guys, without a further ado, I'm going to get right into it and start with the number 1 reason that I decided to quit. Now, I do want to say that these are not in any particular order. These are just 5 of the top reasons that I decided to quit. So starting off the list with number 1, the first thing I want to say is Turo is not as passive as you think. Turo demanded so much of my time, and it's actually pretty inconvenient because depending on when a booking comes in, you don't have very much time to get your car together, clean it, fill it with gas, take all the necessary pictures that Turo requires, and also communicate with your new renter about the car. You have to decide on a meetup location. You have to decide on, just talk with them because this is the person that you're ultimately going to give the car to. So it was a lot of time. It took a lot of time out of my day. And although I would be super happy to get a new renter or, get some money to come in, I also had to think about it like, man, now I have to drop everything I'm doing. I have to go clean the car. I have to get it ready. And then I'm going to have to go meet up with this person to give the car off. And so this is not something that you can just do and you're constantly making money while you sleep or you're making money while you're working another job. No, you actually had to stop everything you're doing and go accommodate this person. You have to go take the car. And the car wasn't always ready. I didn't know when I was going to get a renter. So sometimes I would get maybe 2 hours notice and the person was already coming. And maybe I had plans that I had already made, and now I have to put my plans on hold because I have to get this car ready and I have to meet them up at a specific location to hand off the car. Now, with talking about passive income, you and I both know that there's so many other things out there that are a lot more passive than something like a Turo business. So the reason I'm bringing this up is mainly because if you're starting Turo for a passive income stream or adding an income source to your busy plate, I just want you to know that Turo is not that passive. And sometimes when you get your car back from renters, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So it's not super simple. It's not the best use of your time necessarily, and it's just not what I thought it was going to be. If you compare Turo to something like the Amazon Influencer Program, I would pick the Amazon Influencer Program above Turo any day of the week because the Amazon Influencer Program could be done at home on my own time. I don't have to drop everything I'm doing for the Amazon Influencer Program, and the Amazon Influencer Program is a lot more passive than, say, something like Turo. Turo demanded way more time than I thought, and this is something that you really need to take into consideration when starting a Turo business. Now, the second thing on my list of why I quit Turo is scalability. Now, every time I thought further and further about my Turo business and where I wanted to take it into the future, I always ran into roadblocks. So scalability always caused problems and issues for me. Some of the main problems that I encountered is things like getting in more cars. Whenever I thought about expanding my Turo fleet and buying more cars, that always posed a problem. A couple things. A couple things is having the cash or the credit to be able to go and buy and purchase another car. The second problem is, this is something I have never said before, but when trying to buy the third car to add to my Turo fleet, I actually had a wild experience. In a way, we kind of got gypped and robbed. I met up with somebody on Craigslist to purchase their car, and they had provided me a title with a specific amount of mileage, a specific year of the car, and all of that turned out to be fake. The mileage on the car was wrong. The year of the car was wrong. And as you guys know, when you're putting your cars on Turo, there's specific qualifications that the car must meet in order for it to be rented out on Turo. So you're looking for these specific things in cars, which is low mileage and not too old of a car. So when I got this car, we were looking at the car, and the guy ended up running away with our money and left us with this car with all the wrong information. So that was very frustrating, very annoying, and then I ended up with this car that I could not even place on Turo. So that was one little hiccup that we experienced while doing Turo. Another roadblock that really started to come up is as you start buying more and more cars and investing for more and more cars to add to your fleet, you have to figure out where you're going to store these cars. Your cars aren't always going to be rented out, and so having a place to put them is another problem. Do you rent space? Do you have space at your family's properties to put them? And it's just another thing to think about. So scalability is huge, because if I thought about growing a bigger and bigger fleet to make more and more income, I'm also having to figure out how I'm going to get those cars and where I'm going to put those cars. And cars are a really big thing to have to store. So I always ran into roadblocks when thinking about scalability. The third thing that I want to talk about, and the third reason that I ultimately decided to quit, was the very low profit margins. Now, yes, you're in total control of how much you want to make on Turo and how much you want to rent out your car for per day. But if you put the car too high, people are not going to rent your car. And every car is different, and every location is different based on how much people are willing to spend in that location on your rental car. So, when you first start off, Turo is going to give you a recommended price to put the car. And when I put it at that price, we were getting renters. But after the Turo fees and after they take out everything, you're left with just a really low amount of money for renting out your car. And I get that if there wasn't a lot of work involved, but when people are renting out your car, you're going to have to clean it. You're going to have to take care of it, maintain the car. They're putting mileage on your car, and they're putting wear and tear on your car as well. So that amount of money isn't just how much you're making, but that's also money that you have to put back into the car and invest towards the car. And so after you've taken out all the fees for that, you're really left with not too much money. And low profit margins was huge, because as I kept increasing the price of the car, I noticed less and less people willing to rent the car out. And so at that point, it's just like, if I put the car too high, I'm not going to get anybody to rent the car out. But if I put the car too low, I'm getting people that aren't caring about my car, aren't taking care of my car. And it's kind of frustrating. So when you think about it, making not that much money for renting your car out, if you're only renting out maybe a few cars, is a big problem. There are definitely people making really good money, but some of those have 10 plus cars and they're able to rent them out, and they're not attached to their car, and it's essentially a business for them. But as someone like me just starting out with only 3 cars on Turo, the low profit margins was a big deal for me, and essentially a game changer. It made me not want to do Turo anymore. Now, the fourth problem, which was a really big problem in my opinion, was car maintenance. This was huge because, guys, let's be honest, when other people are using your stuff, they don't take care of it the way you would, or the way you would like. And so when these people are renting out your car, they are absolutely trashing it. you don't even know what they're using it for. In fact, I had somebody use my car for a music video and had mud stains everywhere, the smell of smoke everywhere, trash everywhere. And yes, you can charge little fees, but let me tell you, Turo is very picky about what they will charge for. For instance, the smell of smoke in my car is not something that I could send evidence or proof to Turo for. I found little pieces of trash or little pieces of cigarettes that I thought would work for Turo, but when I sent them a picture, it wasn't good enough, and essentially they couldn't charge the renter because it wasn't enough evidence. So things like that are very frustrating when you have to maintain your car and clean it every time it comes back, because these people just are trashing it. They don't care. It's frustrating, and it's your car. You worked hard for that car. You spent money on that car, and to see people not caring and just driving it off road and doing whatever the heck they want with your car is annoying. And you might think that it's not annoying at the moment, and even if it's a car that you're not extremely attached to, it's still something that you worked hard for. It's still something that you purchased with your own money. And so for people to just not care about it, it really does suck. But car maintenance was huge. Every single person I lent my car out to or rented my car out to smoked in it, left it dirty. They would try to run it through a car wash right before they brought it to me, but there would be streaks everywhere. You could tell that people just did not care. And on top of that, you're having to replace the tires, do oil change, upkeep it, and make sure it smells good, and you're not even driving it. These are other people doing it to your car, and you're having to just take care of it, clean it, and do all the dirty work. So car maintenance was a big deal breaker for me, and I just hated doing it. The fifth and one of the last reasons that I want to talk about today is about the high risk of renting out your car on Turo. There is so much risk associated with it. Yes, a lot of people are very successful with their Turo businesses, but to be honest with you, the risk was a big thing for me. I always worried about my car getting in a wreck. I worried about something being wrong with my car and them blaming it on me and me being stuck with the damages. I worried about my insurance. I worried about theft. I worried about the up and down of the financial situation with Turo, because you don't know when your car is going to be rented out. You don't know if 1 month is going to perform poorly and the next month's going to be good, and it's just so uncertain. There's so much risk involved with Turo, so many unknowns. I always worried about something being wrong with my car while somebody had it. I worried about somebody dying in my car. There was so much to worry about, and to me it just wasn't worth it. I hated having to worry about my car so much while it was being rented out by somebody else, and it just felt like so much unnecessary stress. Why did I have to stress myself out like that by renting out my car? I should just stop renting my car out altogether. And it's crazy because it's not even like my cars are worth anything or really high valued cars. It's just the fact that this is something that you've spent a lot of money on. This is your car. Maybe there's some sort of attachment to the car, or even if there's not some sort of attachment with the car, there's still a lot of risk and a lot to worry about. Also, people are reaching out to you at any time of the day. So if something does happen to the car, you kind of have to be on standby because this is your car. You're responsible. If your backup camera decides not to work, if they get a flat, they are going to call you about it. And so there's just so much risk involved, and I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. So guys, that's kind of a big summary of the 5 main reasons I decided to ultimately quit doing Turo. Now, like I've said a bunch of times in this video, Turo is a good business model. There are people that are making a ton of money doing it and love doing it. But for the average person like me, located where I'm at, I did not see it as something that I wanted to pursue, something that I wanted to invest more time, money, and effort in. And ultimately, it wasn't something that I enjoyed. I didn't enjoy cleaning my car all the time just so somebody else could trash it. I didn't care about my customer service and making sure that these renters had a great experience renting from me when they were just gonna go trash my car. I also hated having to stress and wonder where my car was at, what is happening to my car? Is my car in one piece? Or is my car okay? I hated that. And once I ended up getting robbed kind of during the whole trade-off or me buying a car off of Craigslist, I just felt like this is not something I enjoyed. I don't want to get more and more into the car industry, and I really did not like renting out my vehicles. I was meeting a ton of new people all the time, meeting up at any hour of the night if that's the time that they decided to return the car, and it just did not feel right to me. But like I said in the beginning of the video, give it a try, test it out for yourself and see what happens. It's always good to give something a shot so that you can see for yourself if it's worth it or not. But I really hope that you could learn something from this video, and my opinion on Turo is just not a good one. So if you're looking for a side hustle to start, I would highly recommend the Amazon Influencer Program over something like Turo, but that is just my honest opinion. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I know some of my Turo content has been doing very well here on YouTube, so I wanted to bring another video out essentially about why I left Turo and why Turo was not for me. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and like I always like to say, we are going to do amazing things together. Bye guys!